This is how I learned that more clients for your agency doesn't necessarily mean more money for your agency. So I run a lead generation agency making around 4 to 5K a month. And these were some of the mistakes that I made whenever I took on the wrong clients for my agency when I was first starting out. And I think all agency owners, whether they're doing lead generation, SMMA, whatever you want to call it, I think that all agency owners can get immense value by watching these videos and learning from my own mistakes. Lesson 1 is you do not want to take on failing businesses. So when I was first starting my own agency, I had no clients and I was desperate just to get any client I can get my hands on. Probably like most of you watching this video, you want new clients so bad that any client or any meeting that comes your way, you will take him on as a client because you don't have any. One of my first businesses that I worked with was a two-man agency, which was a web design agency. And I sent them an email, we hopped on a call, and it ended up working out pretty well. They were interested and I signed them on. The only problem with this agency was that I actually went on as a SDR and not necessarily a lead generation agency. So SDR is basically like a sales guy. So I would only get paid if I booked them a meeting and they closed, not if I booked them any meeting at all. So I was more like a sales guy, not necessarily like a lead generation type of guy. Anyways, after about a month of signing them on and working with them, they actually shut down the entire company. I kid you not, they actually shut down the entire agency. And this was, like I said, my first ever quote unquote client, and they just shut down. And it wasn't fun losing my first ever client. But what I learned from this was that you, as the marketing agency, as the SMMA, as the lead generation guy, you cannot save companies with your marketing. You can't come in there and put out fires that are already in the business with your own marketing. You can only be a supplement, a add-on to their current business, but you can't save their business with your marketing. So the first real lesson that I learned is that you don't want to take on clients that already have a failing business, have a bad infrastructure, whatever it may be. Just don't take on clients that are not already well off without you coming in. The second lesson that I learned is that you don't want to take on clients that you can't fulfill for. Now, a few weeks or about a month or two after that previous client that I signed on, I signed another web design client. Web design clients might be my worst enemy here. But essentially with them, what ended up happening was, again, I was desperate to sign a client. They were interested and they were willing to pay me, so I just signed them on immediately. What I didn't know was that web design is a vitamin offer. Their whole agency is a vitamin offer. So what I mean by this is that when you're trying to sell web design through cold email or just anything overall, the reason why it's so hard is because most businesses don't need websites. It's not like you can go out there and start pitching web design to every single business and get new clients. Most businesses don't always need a website. It's, every few years that they'll need a new website. So inherently by design, web design is hard to sell. So what ended up happening was, again, I could not provide them any results and it just ended up wasting both of our times and we both just ended up going our separate ways. Now you can get results for web design. I'm not saying that you can't and that it's impossible. I've seen plenty of web design agencies work, especially through cold email. It's just that as a beginner, it's a lot harder to fulfill simply because of the market sophistication. And since the offer that you are selling is a vitamin offer, it's not always needed. It's just that it's really hard if you're a beginner, especially like I was when I first signed with them. Now, a similar thing happened with another client that I signed, which was an insurance brokerage selling healthcare benefits to companies that have over 10 to 100 employees. And from the start, they weren't really confident that I could actually get them results. And by them not being confident, I actually ended up not being confident in myself, which in the first place, I should not even sign them if I felt this way. Side note, if you are not completely confident in your services and if you're not completely confident that you can get results for a certain client, don't sign with them. But anyways, what ended up happening with this insurance brokerage is that a few months go by and I'm trying to sell this vitamin offer, which is healthcare benefits, over a span about 2.5 months. I only booked them 2 meetings, one in which was only qualified. So 2 months go by this, I'm trying everything. I'm trying new angles, getting new lead lists, but nothing just seems to work. And at that point, I'm just like, okay, you know what? I don't think I can get the results. I'm just going to not work with them. It just does not make sense for me to use all of this brain power to try to get the results when I have other clients that I'm profiting from that I am getting results on. So I end up emailing the guy like, hey, can we hop on a call? I need to discuss something with you. We hop on a call. When we get on there, I'm like, hey, it's been about 2.5 months since I started started working with you guys. We haven't really gotten through any results, so I think it's best if we go our separate ways, and I'll end up refunding you $3,000, which was the setup fee that he paid to work with me. And as soon as I told him this, he ends up just laughing at me on the call, and he ends up saying, I love it. You're throwing up the white flag already and just giving up. Now, as soon as he said that, I was just there on the Zoom call, just furious, right? I was just mad. Here I was trying to, get him results, trying my hardest. And in the end, I ended up being a good guy and doing what I was supposed to do, which was refund them. And he just ends up laughing at me saying, wow, you're giving up already. But I couldn't say anything to him simply because I could not provide him the results that I told him I could, and I had to refund him. So I had to just sit there and just take the L and just move on and learn from it so that I don't make the same mistakes again in the future. Taking on clients is super important, especially if you're a beginner starting your agency. Not all clients are the same. Not all clients are good. Not all clients are bad. You just have to make sure that the ones you do work with and the ones you do pick are good people and businesses that you can actually get results for. What I personally learned is to not take on clients whose businesses are already failing, and to not take on clients who I haven't done past research on if I can fulfill for them, or if I'm not even confident I can get results for them. That's what I learned from signing so many clients and not getting them results.